Hi, friends. Welcome to the Mastermind Moments podcast.
Hosted by your pals, Josh and Sasha.
Join us during our weekly mastermind as we collaborate on how to make the most out of our lives.
Not only are we going to mastermind our careers, we're going to work on all areas of life together.
Let's do it. Listen in as we make the most of our mastermind moments.
Hi, hello.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon.
Good night for me. Oh my God, what time is it for you guys right now?
I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, so it is noon.
Okay.
Right, and then it's 5 p.m. for me.
Yeah, and it's 11 p.m. for me right now.
Okay,
Wait,
so
Adam,
we're
why
literally
did...
the full end of the spectrum.
Yeah, full...
Yeah, I guess since the last time I talked to you guys or saw you guys, I moved.
Yeah, wait, you were in San Diego. What happened?
Nothing bad, good things. My wife is a nurse and got just a fantastic job opportunity here at one of the major heart transplant centers in the U.S. So it's just awesome opportunity for her to skip a few steps in her career, skip a few levels, and plan is to be here for about another year, and then to move back to San Diego just to really get her that experience at the kind of the start of her nursing career.
That's awesome. We love this like
That's
Tony
awesome.
Robbins Gills network. It's the vibe.
That's cool. So that's one of the reasons we did it, right?
I
I guess
guess.
we didn't really know it then, but
Yeah, true. I don't know for you. I don't know what it was for you guys, but the first year, my parents like forced me into it, so I was not.
oh yeah,
Oh, my.
it was kicking and screaming. I had my parents had to force me to do the interview. I only did it because my parents were very good friend myself with the kids, very good friends with the Ingamels, or sorry, the Wilsons. If you remember David Wilson, Dahlia Wilson, and yeah, some other people that went the year before me. And okay, I guess I got to do it. But
Yeah,
yeah, I had
basically.
zero interest.
Yeah, and then you just
It
get
was
sucked.
awesome from then.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was my parents convinced me to go by telling me that there were going to be celebrities there. They told me that there were famous people who go every year, and so that convinced me to go. And I showed up and was bitterly
You get some
disappointed for
like
the first few hours.
G-list celebrities.
Exactly.
You're telling me
Well,
Marlon is not a celebrity? Come on.
well, I didn't know it at the time, right? Now I look back and I'm like, wow, there was like proper A-listers there. Tony Robbins A-listers.
Yeah, there's
Tony
greatness
Robbins
in that
A-listers.
room.
That was greatness.
Okay, so to get into our first segment, let's spin a wheel. So the question is under like growth creativity, what books or resources have been most influential in your personal development? What do you guys think?
That involves that would require me to read a lot.
I was literally about to say that's
What
such a
about like
funny. I'm so
podcasts
glad
or
it's not
like
just me.
YouTube or I don't know, any sort of content or I don't know. It says
I don't do a lot of that. I'm not gonna lie. I don't do a lot of that on the personal side.
okay, do you do it?
I'm bad at
What
that.
kind of side do you do
Like
it
more
on?
like on the business side.
Yeah, but they go hand in hand. No, sometimes they go hand in hand.
Sure.
Yeah, but
No, we can do that. We can do whatever you'd like.
listen, why not?
Yeah, I'm struggling. Sasha, I feel like you definitely have an answer.
I mean, I love a book, I love a podcast. First of all, let's chat about the fact that like Tony Robbins, period, has been a great resource as far as personal development goes. And that's
But
I still love listening to his like podcast. I still go to events actually. I'm going to Date with Destiny in December. So, and I've been going to like some events here and there. I just went to UPW in November for the fourth time or something.
that's awesome.
Funny enough, like I had been going to this UPW in like whenever it's in New York, New Jersey, not every time, but funny enough, I broke up with my high school boyfriend at that like at a UPW when I was 19. And then the same venue and the same event, I broke up with my last boyfriend this past November. And I was like, what is this curse that's happening? I don't
It's
know.
the peak performance telling you that it wasn't the right
It was
person.
just like Dickens'
Um,
process being like, no.
yeah. Oh my God, that's funny. I just gave literally 2 days ago. I just gave like a whole soliloquy to one of my friends who had gained a little bit of arrogance when it comes to his like his physical health and like what he's doing just to better himself now. And I gave him this whole thing on. I was like, "You're doing great, but you can do better." Right, and gave him like the whole speech on maximizing your peak performance. And the one of the stories that stuck out, I still remember. I think it was a UPW one from Tony Robbins was talking about somebody played tennis. I forget who like the main focal character in the
I feel
story
like
was,
Andre
but like it
Agassi.
was, yeah, that, well, that's who they went to, right? And it was like, or maybe it was Andre Agassi, and talking about like the series of plateaus in life and how like you can be at what you believe to be a pinnacle, but in reality, that is your plateau, and the only way to break out of that is to find somebody that's better than you. I don't know, better than you is the right word, but more skilled, more knowledgeable, more experienced, lessons to share. And that was just, I was trying to preach on it. And literally, as I was giving this speech, I'm like, God, this Tony Robbins stuff really stuck. And that's just what I was thinking. I like, I'm more on the personal side and personal development, convinced, well, I guess not convinced, but the company I work for is, I'm starting actually next week, kind of new executive mentoring, executive coaching that I'm really excited about. Just ways to better myself personally and learn more about myself and find out ways to, right, unlock more because there's always more to give. So those are some of the things I guess I'm working on now. Um, yeah,
And what is it that you're doing at the moment? What are you doing for work?
I work for a commercial drone manufacturer.
Yeah, I bet
So like
you were doing that
flying
before, right?
robots. Yeah, yesterday was actually, it was a company I started coming out of college. It was my senior project out of university, and yesterday was my 8th year anniversary. So
Wow.
it's been a long time, and I'm fortunate enough to have made the thing I started out of college been the career up until I'm 28 now. So the entire, oh, pretty much the entirety of my 20s. It's paid the bills well. It's like I've been able to learn a ton. We've got about somewhere between 55 and 60 employees, really growing. So it's just really exciting to see like the my favorite part of it, but is like literally the creating jobs aspect. Just like, especially because I work remote, I go back to our office. We're a manufacturing company, so most people are working at headquarters. Every 3 months or so, when I go back to the office, it's just a fantastic feeling of going around shaking hands with, like, who are you? I don't know you, but glad you're here. Um, so it's been fantastic just to keep learning, to keep growing. The best business degree I've got to believe is in the startup world. Like I just moved to Boston, to an area where education is everything, right? It's the most educated city in certainly in America, probably the world if I had to guess, but I don't have any facts or data on that one. But in the US, it's the highest educated city per capita. And where I'm from in San Diego in California, obviously higher education is super important, but it's more of that tech community of startups. Whereas like here on the East Coast, all the new friends I've made, their people are going back to school. Like I just had a couple friends that quit their full-time jobs to go back to full-time MBAs, and that's incredible. And it's something like I'd always thought about. Certainly my Jewish parents had always pushed me to go get a kind of a further master's degree, and they're like, oh, you live in Boston, go to Harvard, apply to Harvard, get your MBA. It's always been appealing to me, but I just never really knew people that kind of did that. And just for me, the way I look at it is, I'm sure there's going to be a ton that I learn, right? You build a network, it's something completely different. But what I've learned in like just building something, there's got to be a lot of translation there. And I think those real world skills you develop really will carry me forward for kind of the rest of my career, especially when I'm one of the main co-founders of the company, but I'm not the main investor. So it's a fantastic thing at this stage in life to be able to learn on somebody else's dime as well.
Yeah, I feel like the best degree is definitely starting your own business, not just with getting your life MBA, but I think just in life in general. Like, it's a really great experience to learn about yourself through the avenue of business. I know this is my, I guess these podcasts would be the second like official business I've started. And it's like you learn so much about how to start something and about yourself through the process of this. And it's like that same thing we were talking about earlier with plateauing. Like you'll grow and then you'll plateau and then you're like, okay, well, how do I grow and innovate from here? And then you plateau again. And I think it's honestly, that was a huge, like you just reminding me of that is like something I think I needed to hear. Just, oh, wow, find
Yeah,
someone who's done what you're doing. Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to, success leaves clues, right? And that's the thing about growing up in this
absolutely.
environment. We talk in bumper stickers and like it is true though. And it's just like I am a walking bumper sticker sometimes, but I do think, I don't
Well,
know.
I think
Yeah.
it's okay to be a walking bumper sticker, but I think the most important thing is to not just say these things, but to be able to like objectively have that self-awareness to recognize where you're at in your journey. And like for me, why I've been like working with our CEO to get me this executive coaching. If I can admit, I don't want to say I'm on a plateau, but I'm like been doing the same thing for 8 years, right? I've gotten, let's say, very efficient at how to do my job, right? So it's need that next unlock to not necessarily reinvigorated because I'm invigorated every day in what I do, but it's like there's a little bit of jadedness, right? After you do the same thing for 8 years. So it's okay, let's sharpen the focus. What do I want to do in terms of like my next steps, whether it's here at the company I work for, Inspired Flight, or somewhere else? But I think that's something that I at least learned through the Tony Robbins as well is yes, we can speak in high level jargon and bumper stickers and these platitudes, but along with that was this constant reminder of like self awareness and the need for continuous improvement. And I think those were some really big kind of learnings from Tony Robbins. You can get these learnings many places in the world, depending on your experiences. But those are some of the things I think that environment that we grew up in really helped so much with today.
Yeah,
I,
it definitely depends on how you apply it. What were you saying, Josh? Go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel like these first 10 minutes has been dime after dime for people leaving college and leaving school. Because personally, I didn't go to university. I left straight out of high school, I went into work. I didn't really have a path at the time. It sounds like you left college and you forged this path for yourself and you had something almost off the back of your results at college. But I think higher education is obviously very important in many ways and in many industries. But I think the best experience you can get is the life experience and the experience on the work floor. I
Hmm.
know a lot of people who are still my age, they're still going through college, they're doing PhDs, and so it's taking them years and years. And I feel like in that time, I've lived 20 lifetimes in the time that they've been going through college. And there is no doubt that it's incredibly invaluable. And then on the flip side, what you mentioned about always growing and learning from people above you, and there is always room for growth. As I say, I think it's just dime after dime really important for people to hear if they're leaving college or even if they're between jobs and they don't know where their life is going or feel they don't have that guidance. I think the most important thing is A, learning from people better than you, and B, just learn. Go out and learn on the floor.
Absolutely. No, I think another piece to that, and I'll relate this to like my experience, because you said something that, while I would like it to be true, I don't necessarily agree with, of like me graduating college and like having a plan and having this thing to grow into. It's not necessarily true. And I think for me, it was just being willing to be open to new things and like to dive into something and then open your eyes, look around and be like, oh, there's an opportunity. For me, this was like I was a business major at college, and my concentration or my specific focus was entrepreneurship, which in other words meant I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life, right? Because I didn't want to do accounting, I didn't want to do finance, didn't want to do HR, all the other pretty obvious paths of business that you can focus in. So for me, my senior project was go to the local tech incubator and interview with a few people, walk around the room. They set up like a matchmaking event, talk to a bunch of different one person, two-person, like starting up teams that had an idea, and go and intern for them for 6 months and get your class credit. And then I met my co-founder then, who's the truest definition of an introverted robotics engineer. Brilliant robotics engineer, right? But you guys know me. Like I'm a pretty extroverted person. Like talking is my thing. And I just remember this first interaction I was having. It was the most awkward interview of all time, right? Because I was like, I'm trying to like be out there and introduce myself, and he's just like, drones. This is the idea, right? And it was just such a tough conversation. I'm like, but it was the one that I ended up getting matched with, and I went into it just I know nothing about drones. I know nothing about robotics. Don't really care about drones, right? At this time, I was still working full time as a chef, and like my dream, right? I've still had that thought that I was gonna lean into my creative side and be a lifer in the chef world, and thank God that didn't happen. One, because wouldn't have been good enough to do that, and two, is I enjoy my nights, weekends, and holidays. I'm realizing now, but the reason I'm saying this story is I got into this without having a plan. It was like, okay, I'm going to get class credit, then go on to the next thing. But just by having the willingness to be open, to look around you, to look at the environments like you've been given an opportunity to enter into, I was able to recognize just a few things. One, like this company, there was access to capital, which for anybody that's going out to start a company that's not really like a small business, but something that's going to be capital intensive is for us, it's manufacturing. Don't discount that, right? Don't try and start a company without really thinking about how you're going to fund it past you and your only co-founder 6 to 9 months later. I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs I've met, especially first-time founders, where like the ideas accept is incredible, their execution may be incredible, but a dearth of capital is what kills them, right? Eric Schmidt, the CEO of Google, one of his famous quotes is revenue fixes all known problems, right? With capital, you can afford to make mistakes, which any startup is going to do, big mistakes. So that's just been incredible for us to, I saw that access to capital, learning about this in 2017, like drones as commercial tools. And we specifically focus on using these drones to inspect energy transmission towers, like electric transmission assets, to do surveying and mapping for large construction sites, for measuring the amounts of earth and dirt that need to be moved in mine quarries, like kind of the industrial world stuff, not the drones and defense and war type things that you hear about constantly on the news. So I just recognized that we were at like an internet moment, a cell phone moment, if you will, where this industry is about to massively grow. And I was able to just lean into that. And the joke at our company is Adam's the co-founder that like still doesn't care about drones. Like the technology itself isn't what turns me on, if you will. It's the utility that we can provide to society with those. But anyways, not to distract and talk about my work, but I think just being open in this life journey to the opportunities that are going to present you and being willing to lean in and take the risk to spend 6 months to a year to learn and see if that's something for you. I think that's something that how we can all grow. So I don't think the only thing you know about when making a plan is that the plan is going to be wrong.
The plan's gonna change.
Um, it, the plan's going to change, right? The plan's going to change, and you need to be willing to adjust to that. Like having a plan is incredibly important, right? You need to have a path and have these milestones in your life that you're trying to achieve. But one of the things I think we learned in Gills and Tony Robbins as well is that aspect of uncertainty, right? Having that little bit of that uncertainty and being willing to live in that, especially like Sasha with this podcast that you're doing, Josh, with not going into university and jumping straight into kind of the crazy world that is real estate and finding your path through there. There's no way to do that if you like force yourself to live within the constraints of a completely certain environment.
That's true. It's like you make a plan. I love this quote. It's we make plans and God laughs. It's like it's always going to change. And there's something else that you mentioned too that I think is really important is yes, like being open to every opportunity, but something that turns you on per se about like your business is just how you can add value wherever you can. And that's the whole point is where can you add value? How can you innovate? How can you improve? How can you just serve whoever you're trying to serve in the best way possible? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that whatever that meaning is or that fulfillment for you, it doesn't always have to be like the obvious top level thing. Um, it can be like some people get really excited about the processes they make to serve their business, right? Personally, I hate that. I'm not a process oriented guy and I get in trouble with that at our company all the time now that we're at the point where I can't just do things and there's no repercussions. But just find what you like and focus on that within whatever that environment or opportunity is you're working for. And if it doesn't exist, be willing to move on quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think because a lot of people say when you're starting out in life or in business is do what you love. And I think something I've really struggled with is finding what I love because I've always thought, okay, well, what are my hobbies? What do I really enjoy doing? And I write out a list of, okay, I love soccer and I love sports and music and all these different things. And I'm like, well, how am I going to make a living out of these things? And actually, it's really interesting the way that you've both put it there, in that it doesn't have to be a hobby. It doesn't have to be something that you just enjoy doing. It could be related to the actual process involved and the actual kind of the
Hmm.
thing that you do to set up the business or to run the business. For example, you found your niche and what you enjoy doing. As you said, some people enjoy setting up processes for businesses. So I think that's another really important point, actually, and really interesting for someone like me
There's
who's always
so many
struggled to find that.
layers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all doing something. You're selling a product, doing something, right? We all live in capitalist societies, right? And businesses have a point. But like I said, for me, it's not about the product we sell. It's like what I love is creating new relationships and like building those relationships to a point that drives what is the success for my business. But it's those first, it's like the relationship building that really gets me excited.
I love that. And also, I just want to note, Josh, I love the fact that you just called it soccer to for the people, other
You can see
people.
the pain.
That was so
You
funny.
listen. You've called me out for this before, and when it's just me and you, it's one thing. But when there's two Americans on the call, I can't be calling it football. It's just
You
that'd be rude.
totally
You can call fun.
can.
I play rugby, so I'm already on that side of the pond with the sports that I play.
Okay, okay. You're speaking my language, Adam. I love to hear it. And speaking of languages, you just mentioned about sort of communication and stuff. So we a couple of weeks. Do you remember Cam Schroeder? Who was in our
Yeah,
dorm, of course, the year
from
that we
South
met.
Africa,
That's
right?
right, South Africa, Australia. So we had him on a
Yeah.
couple of weeks ago, and he is also an entrepreneur. He's had a bunch of startups. He's doing some really cool stuff with AI. And a big thing that he was saying and giving advice to me actually about my career was about capital and how important it is to find the capital and how to go about that. So, from your perspective, obviously you've had some success with that. Would you have any tips or advice on how to go about building those relationships and to find that capital?
Yeah, well, I think there's a question before that starts with what are you trying to build and what's important to you in the business? Like in the world of business and capital, right? There's a lot of avenues, but if you boil it down, there's two. There's bootstrap businesses that run profitably, and it's a beautiful thing, especially since post COVID. Like the world's kind of flipped to where bootstrap businesses and maintaining your equity and not giving it away to venture capitalists in the world that are just pushing you to grow at all costs. That is a beautiful business, right? And then there's the flip side of, hey, we're building a business that just bootstrapping friends and family just it can't do, right? Like for and that was like for the business that we're building. It's a manufacturing business. It's millions of dollars invested before you can release a product. So I think first is recognizing what are you trying to build and what are the positives and negatives of both those situations that are better, right? If you have an aspiration to be a business titan of the world, you want to be an Elon Musk, a Richard Branson, whatever that is, you're probably going down the venture capital. You want to raise as much money as you can. You want to go fast, create jobs, and become known in the world. And then there's on the flip side, is like maybe you don't care that everybody knows your name, right? Maybe you don't care that you're making what, like Forbes 30 under 30, Forbes 40 under 40, right? But what you do care about is that you're building a very sustainable business that will create an amazing life for you, your family, your close friends, your colleagues, and have an opportunity to create generational wealth for yourself. So I think first is answering that question. And then from there, how do you get after that capital? That's a hard question.
I guess it's industry
Um,
specific, right?
it is. What I found and what I believe, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would disagree with me. I think that people are more inclined to help than not. And I think there are lots of people in this world that love to invest in young founders, into younger teams. Age doesn't really matter. I just mean by young, I mean like excitement and yeah, just excitement at what they're doing. So I think finding your way into those networks, really just embedding yourself, going to the networking conferences, finding the angel meetings that most cities host, going to your local tech incubator and talking to the advisors there. Raising capital, I think outside of like maybe what you like the AI world right now, where it's like people are just so brilliant and so amazing, and they don't even need to tell you what they're doing, and people are just throwing loads of money at them. But that's what we hear about a lot in the news today. Facebook or Meta hiring people for $100 million, right? Put that aside because that's just it's not really how the world works for 99.999% of people. Those communities exist though, and like being okay with starting slowly, finding that first person that believes in you and you writes you a $10,000 check, that's okay. I think the fallacy a lot of founders and people fall into is, oh, within my first year, I haven't been able to raise $1 million. I don't think that's a problem. I think the reality that any like multi-time founder is going to tell you is no matter what you tell yourself to do anything well as a founder, it's going to take you 10 years. You're committing 10 years to whatever you're choosing to do. So first, decide are you willing to spend 10 years to do that? Because you only have 4 or 5 opportunities to do that, right, over the course of a career. If you're starting, let's say your career starts at 25 and then 65, 70, you're right at the tail end of your prime working years. I think just really deciding what you want to do, articulating that plan, moving slowly, showing some initial points of traction is the key, right? Getting people to use what you build. It's the same as like the people that are going to invest in you and provide you capital. There's also people that are going to be willing to use an underbaked product because they see where you're going and they're going to be willing to work with you and drive you towards that journey. And when you can coordinate the people that are giving you capital that can also see where you're going, along with the slow and starting customer base or user base that also sees that, that's the two pieces of traction I think you need to find to be able to progress further. Like if you start by going after a customer that has no ability to be an early adopter, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes a founder can make. And I made that mistake many times in the journey of Inspired Flight. We went after and spent a lot of time and lost a lot of money going after publicly owned utilities. You lived in New Jersey, right? So I think Edison, Eversource Energy, PG&E, some of the largest companies in the world, but also the most risk-averse companies in the world and the most process-oriented companies in the world. Companies and organizations that just don't have the ability to use something that isn't completely polished. So understanding of like where your product is in its maturity cycle and finding the customers or the people that are willing to use it in that state, I think is something that doesn't get talked about enough in kind of the entrepreneurship journey. People just go after the big names, after the enterprise customers, and just have no, they're just not ready for them, right? You're not mature enough to serve them. And it's actually going to set you quite far back. Even if you can get that $1 million purchase order from that customer, you're not going to be able to deliver that effectively. So go serve the customer that's going to give you $100,000 and allow you to prove it to them, allow you to make a few mistakes, and then carry you forward and refer you to everybody else. So it's kind of a ramble, Josh. I don't know if that answers your
That's
question.
no,
Kind of just kind
it's
of
yeah, really interesting. Lots of very helpful tips there. I think what you just finished with was really interesting. Specifically, the idea of starting small before going big, because if you try and grow too quickly, and I've heard this so many times with businesses, with startups, if you try and grow too quickly, that's where businesses a lot of the time fail. So I think that's a really important thing to make note of, actually.
It's like that quote you
Yeah,
love, Josh.
absolutely.
It's take one step at a time, and you can see the top of the mountain at some point.
that's
Like it's
exactly it, Adam. This is something I say all the time. Is if you focus on the whole mountain, you're standing at the foot of the mountain. You look up at the top of Mount Everest. It's
Yeah.
daunting. It's scary, right? But if you actually just take one step at a time and you're just focusing on the next step, eventually you're going to get to the top, and it seems much, much easier that way.
I love that. Like the idiom I kind of use to describe a similar thing is you've probably heard this is like, how do you eat an elephant?
one bite at a time.
One bite at a time, right?
I was just thinking that as you were saying, I was like, it sounds like that too. To get into the meat of the episode, just to catch up with what you've been doing on this podcast, we typically look at the wheel of life and chat through like areas that are going really well, areas that need a little bit more TLC and love. Since we saw you, Josh, when did we make that trip to San Diego for, I went for gills, you went to just hang. Must have been
It's like
2022.
2 years
It was
ago.
2023,
Was
I
it
believe.
2023?
Three,
Yeah,
right?
so that's
Yeah.
when I guess we both last saw Adam.
Yeah, because I think we
Yeah.
we all went out four of us we went with your now wife, so you've gotten married in
Yeah.
last time. What areas are going well? What areas are not going well? What's happening? What have you been up to?
Yeah. On the wheel of life, I think we just alluded to it a little bit, but I think the romance area is going quite well. Just had my 1 year anniversary 3 weeks ago. And just like incredible how fast it flew. But living now in Boston, we went out to Martha's Vineyard for our anniversary. It was just Absolutely majestic weekend. Really fun, really cool part of the country that I'd never really heard about on the West Coast, and also a really diverse place, which kind of was unexpected to me. But it was awesome. So I think the romance area is going really well. And I think what also helped with that is, and this also the flip side of that is where it's not going as well, could use some TLC, is more on the family side about we got married and 1 month later this job opportunity presented itself. And from the time that my wife, Tatiana, my wife and I had even heard the word Boston of there's a job opportunity there, from the second that we even had the first thought of it, we were living here 3 weeks later. Um, and about 1 week before we moved, right, we pulled together our families and, hey, we love you, but we're moving to the literal opposite corner of the country. See ya.
Whoa, in three
Right. And of course,
weeks?
it was literally within 3 weeks we were
Wow.
here living. It was pretty crazy.
Whoa.
I'm fortunate enough I worked remotely, so I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go. Like it's an adventure. So I think that really helped in the romance side actually. In the 1 month after we got married, I mean, we've been together for a very long time, but it's like we both threw ourselves completely out of our comfort zones. Moved here knowing absolutely nobody for a new job, no friends. And I think that really helped strengthen the bond in like the first part of our marriage of like we're leaning on each other to support each other here. Now that we've been here, I moved here in December, so it's been about like 9 months. It's been fantastic. And just putting yourself out there, I think that's been an area where I've been able to learn about myself. I mean, like I mentioned, I love relationships and building relationships, partnerships, but I think where I'm good at that is more in the business lens. I think I struggle with that a little bit more on the personal side. So for me, it was I went and joined a rugby team here, and like now have a great group of friends. I'm a dumb guy at the end of the day. Like the best, maybe you can relate this to Josh. The best way I can make friends with other guys is over beers and over sports. Right? There's not
Absolutely.
much else.
Absolutely. What position are you playing in rugby?
I usually play lock, which is my preferred position, but recently we've had a few injuries to our props, and I've been forced to play front
Front
row.
row. There you
It
go.
hurts my ego a
Yeah.
little bit because I'm like I'm not that big, guys. Come on. But hey, modern rugby props aren't the massive fat dudes anymore. So
No, true.
no, it's been so fun. So yeah, that's I'd say that's what's really going well is the romance side and just being in a new place with my wife and figuring out life together as we do some new things. Yeah, and on the flip side, where it needs TLC is it's definitely been hard on both of our families for us to move away, having spent the entirety of our lives living within proximity to them. So that's been, I think, challenging for both us and certainly for our families. I guess we do what we can, but at the end of the day, there's only so much that a phone call or FaceTime is going to do. So,
Yeah.
and it's, we live a little too far to just hop back for a weekend. So that's brought some strife in, not strife, but some stress, right? We miss them and they miss us at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I'm excited I'm going to be going back to San Diego in about 3 weeks for a wedding and just taking some time to spend there with the family and just really excited about that. But there's a trade off to everything in life. And
Yeah.
you got to decide at what points are you willing to prioritize.
Well, that's something we chat about a lot on the pod is there are always areas of life that are going well and always areas that need TLC. And one thing that's really awesome about you guys is like you move to a new city and typically the challenge there is like building new friends, a new community, but you found like a really great strategy to throw yourself into building new friends. And that's always something I suggest to people who are moving to a new city and trying to build community is like, get involved in activities that are really like important to you, and it's just automatically built in community. Like when I moved to Miami, I'm not there anymore, but when I moved to Miami I joined like a walking group or like a yoga group or whatever, and it was a great way to build community. But as far as like your strategy around family right now, yeah, FaceTimes and like phone calls can only go so far. It's true. I'm curious to hear, because like I just like thinking like there are some ideas that percolate for me around like how to strengthen those relationships with your friends and family. What kind of, are there other strategies that you're using right now beyond FaceTimes, phone calls, and then the occasional visit when you can make time? Or are those like where you've sat for the most part?
I'd say that's where we've sat, to be honest. Like right now, we're trying to plan a trip to get both of our families out here to visit us, which would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I'd say nothing too much deeper than what we're currently doing. And it's definitely not in shambles, right? I think it's just we've been gone a while and we miss each other.
Yeah,
Of course.
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my sister, I don't know if you know this or do you remember my sister Bella?
Of
She moved
course.
out to LA about a year ago now. And She, I think, has found it really difficult with the move. And we were a very close family. She was very close to me and our mum
Hmm.
specifically. Um, and she's moved out there, and it's a big time difference. It's a big time. I think it's what, 8 hours between London and California. So
Hmm.
she will FaceTime us at the most inconvenient times when we're about to go to bed or we're in bed and it's 4 in the morning. She does this every night. It's 4 a.m. Drives me insane.
So
But
Bella.
as a result, it is so Bella. But as a result, it makes it so difficult to maintain that communication. It's really difficult to catch up regularly. I'm speaking to Bella probably once every couple of weeks at the moment on FaceTime. Just happens to be when we catch each other at an appropriate time when she's not working and when I'm not in bed. So it is tricky, and I think she is struggling with that. But I
Hmm.
think if you can find a good balance where you can make the time or actually almost schedule the time. I don't know how you approach that, but I think that's the best way to do it. So I think with my mum, they speak much more regularly than we do, and they've made it work somehow. I'm not sure how.
That's a
Yeah.
good idea. 'Cause I actually struggle with that with, I think, Abby, my sister. I've struggled with that with her. We've got a rock and Snapchat streak going ever since I left, which has become like our main method of communication. But Snap, they're lazy, right? You're not actually talking. I think scheduling some time is the strategy I need to employ instead of just trying to keep it ad hoc all the time and be like, yeah, didn't work this week. See you next week.
Yeah, scheduling the time is great. And then, I mean, something that Josh and I have implemented, which is basically like how we went from being like friends to just catch up once a year to like best friends, is we implemented like voice messages back and forth, which is always like a great way to just here's what's going on in my life, reply whenever. Some other strategies too. I haven't lived near my family since I was 18 or so. But then I was living in New York, which was like an hour and a half away from my family, which was like fine because I could pop home for an evening or an overnight, or my family would come up to me for the day, or it was like pretty easy. But when I moved to Miami, it wasn't like too difficult, honestly, because I was still going back like once a quarter, but I have been traveling full time for the last 9 months. Basically, when you moved to Boston, I left Miami and I've been traveling full time since then. So I have not seen I saw my family for a week here and there, and there have been ups and downs with maintaining communication with them and them feeling frustrated that I'm not checking in enough,
Hmm.
or like making sure we have the right time, because right now it's an 11-hour time difference, so it's a little challenging to like communicate with them. But I will say, in addition to the phone calls, the FaceTimes, the Snapchat streaks, are there other ways to leverage showing people you care about them in the same way that you would do that with a romantic relationship that's maybe long distance? Don't underestimate the power of handwritten letters or sending goodies from Boston. Send them a gift. Like,
Mm,
how cool would that be to get a
yeah,
care package of like cool stuff from Boston or whatever? Definitely leverage other ways to connect in that way. If that's even like with other love languages, is that gifts? Is that like schedule? If it's quality time, like scheduling a virtual game night, how we all used to do that during COVID, do that, or like scheduling a virtual movie night or something like that. Or even if you start a show with your family and you like watch an episode once a week at different
that's
times,
fun.
chat about it, or like book club or something, I don't know, or a podcast club, whatever. But there are different ways to connect long distance. And maybe that's just because like literally all of my relationships right now are long distance that I have to get so creative with how I'm
Yeah.
connecting with everybody. But don't underestimate like other forms of being able to connect with people, because like I think it'd be really cool to get like a letter or like a postcard or something else that makes you think that you're thinking about them beyond like just the regular FaceTime phone call, because it can get stale and boring. Like,
Absolutely.
how many times are you like, oh yeah, so what are you up to?
Of course. Yeah, it's good. That's a good point. We've got like a stack of gifts for them that we plan to bring back, but I think just sending them is even better. We're pretty good at the postcard thing when we travel, at least. They're typically somewhat drunkly written, and my mom calls me 2 weeks later and she's like, what the hell were you writing? That's become our thing of wherever we go to a new place. But no, those are some great tools. And I'm gonna implement some of them. Where in the world are you right now, Saul?
I'm in Thailand.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I'm in Thailand. I've been traveling. I started December 27th, so right before the new year, just traveling full time. I've actually visited so many of our pals like around the globe, and some of which are like, for example, I didn't realize that Cameron, who was on a previous episode, he was in the Gold Coast and I was in the Gold Coast, and I didn't even realize because I had him associated with South Africa. So in my head, he's in South
Yeah.
Africa, and forgot that he was there and didn't see him. Same thing happened when I was in LA. Like, Josh was like, "Oh, are you going to see Bella?" And I was like, "What?" She's associated to London in my head. So I've been able to like visit a lot of our pals. Like, I went to go stay with Craig for a little bit. I saw Heather.
Nice.
Like, I spent New Year's with Heather. Like, it was just cool to see all of our pals and explore around. And yeah, I think I'm going to be back in the States early December for Date with Destiny. And then after that, I have no idea where I'm going to live or what I'm going to do, or I don't know. But my work is all remote. So my work has been so flexible with me to be able to just like, do this whenever.
That's
I just
awesome.
work at really weird times. I'll work from like 4 p.m. to
That's fine.
midnight instead of 9 to 5.
No, what I love about that is like what you're describing is so many people's fake dreams, I'm gonna call it, because like they say, "Oh, I want to do that," but they don't affect it in any way. Right? There's, oh, I want to be a digital nomad. I work remotely. I can go wherever. And it's like, go do it. So kudos to you for actually doing the thing. That's amazing.
I feel like just in general, that's like a top pet peeve of mine when I chat with people is, oh, I want to do XYZ. I want to start a business. I want to get in shape. I want to be a digital nomad. And then they don't fucking do anything. Like it is, oh
Hmm.
my God, it drives me so crazy. I feel like I'm like, okay, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right now. But yeah, it wasn't,
Nike got the slogan right for a reason.
yeah, exactly. Let's go, Shia LaBeouf. Let's fucking do it. So that's,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
like you're bringing some trauma back from that song now.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's been really, it's come with its own challenges, but in the same way that you've like moved to Boston to throw yourself on the outside of your comfort zone and see the growth that's happened like personally and in your own relationship, I'm doing the same, just traveling full time and bopping around while I'm working. And it's so much fun, but it's very difficult to kind of balance travel and a business and a 9 to 5 job and like my
Sure.
relationships and my health, and it's difficult to balance, but it is a dream come true and I'm really enjoying it. I cannot believe how fast the year is gone. I can't believe it's mid-September. Like what? That's crazy to me. Crazy.
Yeah. I can't even imagine just the amount you're learning and the perspectives you're gaining though on this trip are just going to serve you so well in your life. And that was one of the things like why I was really excited to move away from San Diego's that self-awareness of talk San Diego and you're like you're describing a bubble, right? It's an incredibly beautiful city, perfect weather, generally affluent place. So it's, let's go learn something else, see something else, gain these new perspectives. I think it's just important for all of us to better gain that worldview, and especially in like the current climate of our society, I think it's important that we all open ourselves to those diverse perspectives, new things, seeing how other people live, and not just seeing how they live, like joining them, right? And being part of that journey.
Yeah, yeah,
100%.
definitely. Definitely. It's been
Yeah.
cool to explore and learn and throw myself outside of the comfort zone and see how I'm evolving in the process and what kind of evolution is going to come from all of this. And we'll see. We'll see. Who knows?
That's okay.
What's going on with you, Josh? What's happening?
What's going on with me? Life is pretty good at the moment, although it doesn't feel like it, and I'll get to that in a minute. I Physical health wise, I started with a personal trainer on Sunday, just gone. So that's been an experience because I've had a personal trainer before, but not like a overarching personal trainer. So he's doing all my nutrition and stuff, and it's tough. It's tough because I need to lose a lot of weight, and so that's what he's playing into at the moment. And the gym sessions have been intense, and but it feels good. It feels good to be doing that. I can probably manage it slightly better, but I can work with him to do this. For example, yesterday I knew I was going out for dinner in what was probably going to be, I don't know, maybe 1,500, 2,000 calories, a lot of calories. So I had a tiny lunch, and it just meant that I was so low on energy and hungry and moody all day. So I can definitely manage that better. But otherwise, physical health is going really well, or is starting to anyway. Work is, Sasha, you're gonna love this, but also probably hate this because it's so up and down with my work, but it's
Every
going
week.
well at the moment. It's going well, and it's a tough job. It's hard work, but it's going well. Now, you're also probably gonna hate this because I don't know if you can really tell from my room, but it's quite dark at the moment. We are now coming the other side of our summer. I think mid-September onwards, it starts to get cloudy and rainy, and so the last week has been pretty much no sun. It's been raining pretty much non-stop, which is very typical of London around this time of year. And my mental health, my mental feeling has just fallen off a cliff edge, and it happens every fucking year, and
Every
Sasha's seen it
year.
every year.
Every year.
I'm going through that. It's glad to hear you say that because I'm going through that for the first time
I'm
ever.
Right.
sure.
Right.
Right? Last year it was easier because I moved December 1st. Winter was already in full effect, and we didn't really, it was just dive right in. Didn't know what we were getting
There's
into.
like
So it was like,
novelty.
oh, it's freezing, it's snowing, freezing rain is a thing. What? Like learning all that stuff. And it's just like, okay, now we're through it. But now it's like, I know what's to come. And it's like you said, it's starting to get dark. We're not quite at the bad part yet. Like the leaves are turning. It's actually really pretty, but it's starting to get colder. Like the sweaters are coming back out. And like I struggled to wake up this morning because I live in almost not a dungeon, but like the ground floor apartment. So the natural light in my apartment is it's okay, it's not great, but just this morning, like struggling to wake up because it's so much darker than it was even a week ago. So I'm starting to feel that same thing. I never experienced that because there's no winter in San Diego. There's no anything. It's perfect year round.
No,
Yeah.
of course, yeah, and it is tough. It is tough, and it's something that I've been living in London for the majority of my life, 25 years, give or take, and it's I've still not learned how to deal with it, really. As Sasha knows, I struggle with it every year, and I came into this winter or this fall thinking, I've got all the tools this year. I know I've identified over the last year or so that it's seasonal depression. It's not that just that I get really depressed over winter for no reason. It is literally seasonal depression, right? It's a thing that is impacted by the weather. And I had a really good summer. I felt amazing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to set up some tools going into this winter to make sure that it doesn't happen. But the first week of it happening, I've been trying, and it's hard. It's really hard. My personal trainer has put me on some supplements, one of them being vitamin D, which obviously is meant to help with that because you're not getting vitamin D with no sun, which in San
Sure.
Diego, of course, you don't have that problem. In Boston, you do. In London, you do. So I'm hoping that helps. I only started on it yesterday. I'm hoping that helps. I've got a sunshine lamp. I'm
I was just about
meditating
to
as
say.
much as I can. Yeah, I knew you were going to
I've
bring
never
that
even
up. I
heard
saw
of
your
that.
face like gearing up to say that.
Can we unpack that a little bit more? What is a sunshine lamp?
Sunshine lamp is it basically emulates sunshine. So it's a lamp that Sasha actually got me, and I keep it on my desk, and it emulates
Huh.
sunshine.
It looks like he
Kind of
has a
keep
ring
your
light.
circadian rhythm in check.
Say that
Yeah.
again.
I said it helps keep your circadian rhythm in
Yeah,
check.
yeah, pretty much. I will wake up. This time of year is probably a bit early to do this, but in the winter, I'll wake up and it's dark and I feel tired, and will wake up and I'll go and turn it on. And the moment it turns on, it feels like it's morning almost. It doesn't quite feel the same as the summer, but it definitely helps.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
I'm putting these tools into play, and so I'm on the right track. It doesn't feel like they're helping at the moment. I'm sure I'll get there. I'm sure I'll get there. So that's the
You
only thing
also
I'm struggling with.
said to remind you to book a trip somewhere warm in the dead, like book it now for the dead of
Yeah.
winter so that you have something, that thing to look forward to.
So yeah, that's we're planning actually. Savita and I, my girlfriend and I, we're planning on going to Morocco in November, which I is a great idea, but I feel it's a bit premature because November is not like the dead of winter, right? So I
Book
think a
two
trip in
trips,
November,
whatever.
well, exactly, a trip in November, which is using up all of my remaining annual leave, and then a trip in February, I think is probably the
Hmm.
way to do it. So I think in February we're planning on going to India, probably, possibly China, so somewhere with better weather. So yeah, I'm gonna be putting these things into effect, and hopefully they help.
Yeah. I mean, that
That's pretty
was,
cool. Although I've got to say, I've never heard somebody say I'm going to go to India because it has better weather. It's usually not the primary motivation to go to India.
Well,
That's
no,
full
that's
she's
true.
of.
So I
also,
went to my girlfriend is Indian, and
Okay,
so
that's
which yeah explains that. I went to India for Christmas year before last, I think it was, and the weather is a beautiful country. It's so beautiful and so grand. I went to the north, and the weather was incredible, like perfect. And then my girlfriend is from the south, where the weather I think is even better at that time of year. So
mm,
it's an ideal place to go, I think, this time of
that's
year.
awesome.
Yeah.
yeah, this is unrelated, Josh, and we should talk about it more, but like my therapist just freaked me out like an hour before this call saying that even you can't even drink the bottled water in India. So, no.
Bottled water is so you have to buy it from a specific place,
Okay.
Don't buy it just on the street because usually it's not bottled. They've just refilled plastic bottles with tap water, and that's where it gets you. Um, don't brush your teeth with the tap water.
Yeah.
Like, you have to do everything with bottled water, or you're gonna get really sick, like I did.
Okay, good to know. That was so unrelated, but it just freaked me out. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
I
it's the
will
same in
say, yeah, exactly. I'm just like brushing my teeth. I do that in pretty much most, not every, but like a lot of foreign countries. I'm brushing my teeth with the bottled water.
and you were doing it. Don't
Yeah,
trust.
of course. No, I will say, like, when I lived in, because I grew up in the Northeast, and then after I lived in Jersey, I grew up in Jersey, and then I moved to New York, and seasonal depression was always a very real thing for me. And for me, like, coping with that growing up was like throwing myself into having things to look forward to, like, through because October's really fun and November's really fun with Thanksgiving and like it's pretty and like it's nice fall weather. Like fall's gorgeous and there's a lot of really cool fun things to do and like having things to look forward to is helpful. Same with December, like for Christmas, like just throwing myself into the holiday spirit to give myself something to look forward to. I really struggled always in everywhere from like basically Q1 from January through March every year. I really struggled. But then when I moved to Miami, I did not experience seasonal depression at all. And my mood was just boosted 10 points every day by just getting sunshine, being out in the great weather, hitting some pool time every day. Even if it was like December and a little too chilly to get in the pool, like just sitting out in the sun for like 30 minutes to an hour every day really helped, which you don't really have that option. Neither of you have that option. It's just, it really makes that much of a difference. And honestly, what I would say is I would ask AI. Let's ask AI how to deal with seasonal depression. There's no way there is not a ton of resources out there on the internet to combat this. There's no way it's such a huge issue like with so many people. There's no way that people have not tried to develop strategies around this. So ask ChatGPT, let's see what it says.
Yeah, I think it's a
It's
good
definitely a
idea.
normal thing. I noticed that I couldn't make any friends the first 3 months of living here because and it took me a while to realize, oh, people don't do anything in the winter here. They don't go out. Like they're not they go to the gym. So I played some pickup basketball at that time, but there's no sports league. It's like people don't do anything. And I wasn't used to that. And it took a while. And I think the important thing to know is like, it's one of those things where it's good that it's not a unique problem that you're facing there, Josh, right? Like I reckon
Yeah.
my wife and I in January, February, up until March, until it started to get a little warmer, we were so confused in Boston. Like everybody's Christmas decorations, they left them up until the end of February, and we were really confused. And I think it's because people are trying to cure that season of depression a little bit. They're like, no, we're gonna keep it there. We don't want to just look at like the black sludge of ice that's gonna come in February. I know for me, like the big thing I did coming into this year, trying to combat that, is I bought an Icon pass just to go rip ski weekends
Perfect.
around here as much as I can. And yes, it's East Coast skiing. It's not going to be fantastic, but I can get to a mountain in an hour and a half and drink some beers, ski, meet some friends, right, and then head back. So I think it's just finding those things that you still enjoy in the winter and can do, I think is key. And having kind of goals throughout it. I think there's an opportunity, Josh, for you to marry that winter and that seasonal depression with just that much of a harder goal on your personal fitness journey
Yeah,
and
and
use that as a way to focus you more.
definitely, I think it's really important that I keep that going actually throughout the winter, and that's one of my things is that over winter, I think for most people, right, the fitness stagnates, or at least the healthy eating does over the holiday season. So I think it's really important that I keep that going because it makes you feel when you're feeling fit and you're going to the gym, it makes you feel good when you're moving your body. So I think that's good. And something else that's really given me comfort actually towards the end of last winter, I saw some, I don't know what it was on Instagram, a reel about how as human beings we are the only animals and the only mammals really that don't in some way, shape or form. And so it comes to the winter and a lot of mammals, a lot of animals, they just shut down. They go into a
Mm.
cozy place, they stock up on food, and they shut down for a few months. And we don't do that. We force ourselves to keep going when actually, really, it's probably deep down in our nature to snuggle up and to get cozy. And winter is not the time necessarily to be taking big action. It's the time to be resting and recovering so that you can hit those warmer, sunnier months harder. So I saw that last winter, and I think that's something that I also need to remind myself of, is actually give myself credit that this is meant to be, if you're in a cold, cloudy part of the world, it's meant to be like this. Give yourself credit for that and don't put pressure on yourself to do shit and to actually just take a step back and relax.
It's an awesome
I didn't
perspective.
even think about that, but that's actually true. It's
Yeah.
like literally, we're animals. It's in our nature to, we should rest and hibernate during
Yeah.
that time.
Josh, if I could ask you a question on the personal fitness, just something that I've struggled with in my fitness journey over the years, and don't I got plenty of weight to lose. How are you or your coach, like what techniques are you employing as they relate to accountability and keeping yourself accountable? That's something that I've really struggled with, where it's so easy to like I went to a Red Sox game last night and I have three, four beers, right? That's 600 calories. It's just so easy. So what techniques are you doing
Mm,
to try to change? I know you just started, right?
yeah,
But I
but
think
there's
thinking about it is important.
definitely there's a few that jump to mind, and the first one, which if you don't have a personal trainer, is not necessarily going to help you, but I'm spending a lot of money every month on this guy. I'm not going to go against it. I feel
Yep.
like I'd be completely wasting my money, flushing that money down the drain if I wasn't sticking to his routine. But he has a couple of things. So he has an app where every day I have to log everything I've done in terms of the amount of calories I've eaten, or at least the meals that I've eaten. I have to log what workout I did, how many steps I did, what my resting heart, all these things. But I have to spend 10 minutes at the end of each day doing this, and he has visibility of it. So he then, if I'm slacking for a few days, he will call me out on it. We also have weekly checkups, and I think we haven't had them yet because I only just started this week. But I think that's probably going to be the biggest thing. Is I know that if at the end of each week we have the checkups and I'm slacking, he's going to call me out for it. So I think just an accountability buddy is really important,
Yeah.
and it's something that I've had before. Like Sasha's held me accountable, my girlfriend has held me, friends have held me accountable, but I've never really stuck to it. And I think you need someone who you're not necessarily scared of, but someone who you just don't want to let down. I think if you feel that you're going to let yourself down, then it's important that you have someone else who you'd be letting down if you
Yeah.
failed.
That's good advice. I think there's something to paying for it that really also forces that accountability. Like for me, my problem's never been the gym, and like even now in Boston, I signed up for it. The Equinox is really the only gym that's close to me, and it's a lot of money. So it's like, yes, I'm going to the gym because if I don't go, I'm like yelling at myself. I was like, okay, you wasted 20 bucks by not going to the gym today, right? And I had a personal trainer for the past few months, really just to get me ready for the rugby season I'm in now, more focused on like single leg strength, rugby specific things. But I stopped that recently because I think what I was missing is that more holistic, like lifestyle coach. The cliche saying of you can't outrun a bad diet, like absolutely applies to me. So I think finding that I like the approach you're taking by recognizing that you need something holistic, something that's not just show up once a week. We're going to put you through a workout that you can probably figure out how to do by yourself. There's just so much more to it.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think I had a huge, last year I had a huge year in physical health wise, but I think a lot of that was around, I gave up alcohol for the entire year. Like I didn't have a single sip of alcohol for the
Wow.
entire year of 2024. And like I saw drastic changes in my physical health, but it's the same thing. It's like, well, I was already consistent. Like I've always been an athlete. Like I've always been a very active person. But like when you're out and you're social and you want to have the drinks and then the drenchies or whatever, and you eat a lot and it's like a social thing as
Yep.
well, it's really difficult to maintain that and to find that balance, because I found that like when I was home and by myself, I was okay. Like I was eating really clean at home, but then when I was out and about with the people, like I would just let loose and whatever. And I think cutting alcohol really helped, or at least switching to like mocktails or NA beers was really helpful for me. But something else with the like as far as like the nutrition side goes, it's, I mean, I think like the biggest accountability partner you're gonna have is your wife, truthfully, because like you are who you surround yourself
Hmm.
with and you spend all your time with her, like looking at it's like tools and strategies, how you manage like at home versus out, and like developing those tools and strategies together as a team and then sticking to them, because that's going to be the biggest thing. If you guys are just like, oh, like we're going to eat super clean, but okay, let's just go buy those like 5 pints of ice cream really fast and
Sure.
keep them in the freezer, like you're just letting yourself slide. So having that accountability partner within your like teammate is, I feel like, the best thing. And another strategy, and that was the other thing, is I went to not to plug another Tony Robbins event, but I went to Life and Wealth at the beginning of last year too, and learning all the strategies there around the best tips and practices for building your nutrition or like physical health, working out, whatever, is like being just so cautious about, not cautious, but being so aware about what you're putting in your body, as far as like you can control it when it's in your own home. If you're eating at home a lot, like one strategy I had was I had to read the ingredients on everything, and if I did not recognize an ingredient, if it did not come from the earth, I just don't buy it. And then having that like really nice, like healthy lifestyle at home enabled me to, if I did want to go out and I did want to just eat whatever the fuck I wanted, it was no big deal, because I knew 90% of the time at home, like everything is super, super clean. And my partner was also going alcohol free and was also like really super health conscious as well. So having that accountability partner at home
Yeah.
was really helpful too.
I really like you didn't articulate it, but one of the strategies that I just gained from like you describing both the ingredients and the alcohols, I've got to believe helps a lot, is like having really defined lines of this is good, this is not good. And then you can better hold yourself accountable, because you can't lie to yourself in saying, oh, it's okay,
Yeah.
right? There's no gray area to operate in,
Yeah.
where just like where I find myself failing a lot of
And you
times.
need the
Where
boundaries
it's
with
like, oh, I
yourself.
didn't eat breakfast, I can do this, right? But that can't be, that's not the answer.
Yeah. Having the boundaries with yourself and having the rules and regulations for yourself, and everything is people, it's different for everybody. Like for me, tracking, like the way Josh is doing it right now, like tracking your calories and everything, like I've tried that and it's just not good for my brain. Like it makes me
Hmm.
obsessive and it's not healthy for me. But like for me, like creating strategies around, oh, if I read the ingredients on everything and I know what I'm putting in my body is super, super clean, that strategy has just worked way better for me. And cutting the alcohol, like, worked way better for me. So it just depends on the person too. So it might depend on
Totally.
what works for you, and then developing those like strategies and like boundaries within your own idea about what is health. And
Yeah, you just got to know who you are. The example here, like the big company here in Boston, Whoop, right? Like the wristband fitness tracker lifestyle thing. And I had never used it, never really heard much about it, but everybody here uses it because they're headquartered here. And I was talking to some friends that have it, and it's just two people. It's like on one side, it's people that I love this. It helps me keep accountable, pushes me, like guides me, and like I partner with it to get to where I'm going. And I've also talked to people that are like, I'm gonna get rid of it because I hate it, not because like I hate what it does, but it's because I obsess over it so much that anytime it shows me a step back, it actually harms me more than just not having it.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it's like figuring out the tools and strategies that work. And it's sometimes trial and error. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's like figuring it out. Like I tried one of those apps and I was like, oh, I don't like how obsessive I'm getting about this. I have to stop. Or like trying the no alcohol thing and then like thinking I was going to continue that this year and then not at all. It just depends. It depends on this trial and error, but I do think leaning on your wife too, because if you guys are not on the same page, it just makes it like a million times harder to do it, especially when you live together and you guys are a team at the end of the day. So your health
Yeah,
stuff.
I think that's the best advice. She threatens to be my coach all the time, and I think I just need to be like, yes, please do it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a great way to like another way to for you guys to bond as well.
Of course.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And Sasha, how are you? What have you been up to?
I arrived in Thailand about 4 days ago, and you're gonna love to hear this, Josh. Actually, my mental health has been great since getting here. Honestly, since I don't know if Katie, Adam, do you know Katie Boris or Katie Burns now?
I don't think so.
No. She was actually, I think, a year or two below us in like that whole thing. I was staying with her in Colorado right before I got here, and that was just like a breath of fresh air. Just really nice to be around like such a loved one like that. Especially I think people around this environment, or like that I know from this environment, like there's just something around about being around people like who you know them because of personal development. It's just it really elevates like the experience and the relationship. But since being with her, my mental health has been great. I've been meditating daily since I've been here, at least once a day, sometimes more, which,
It's the place to do it.
yeah, exactly. Like, I was doing like a daily meditation, then I happened to go to a temple, and my tour guide was like, okay, and everybody take your time doing meditation. And I was like, sweet. Another meditation session, which again, Josh, he hounds me for this all the time. Are you meditating? Are you like doing the thing that you say you're doing? Because I'm a certified meditation teacher as well. So it's like, I should be walking the walk, because that's like literally what half of my first podcast is, just like guided meditations. I've been meditating daily. I haven't done any, I have had like drinks, but as like drinks, I'll have one beer or one glass of wine, like once, maybe not once a day, but like once every couple days. But Josh will also be happy to hear that I have not had any substances in a week beyond alcohol, and the alcohol is so limited. So I wonder if that's like impacting my mental health with the meditation and like the lack of substances and like minimizing alcohol. And I've been really enjoying my quality time to myself since being in Thailand, like really enjoying seeing the country and then having my time to work. And I am like feeling a little just overwhelmed with the amount I have to do, but I think that's just normal, and I'm about to go into my busy season at work, so like it's prepping and gearing up for that. Like I always have 2 laptops going at one time, I always have 4 to-do lists going at one time, and that's just a lot. But mental health wise, I've been feeling really good. And I say the same about friends and family too. Like I feel like these relationships are so fulfilling to me right now, and yes, I'm still trying to find the balance between like keeping up with everybody, especially since literally all of my relationships are long distance right now. Like it's pretty difficult. Like I have on one of my lists, I'm like, okay, who are the people that I've been thinking about, that I want to reach out to, and make sure that I'm maintaining those friendships and connections. But I think since going through my breakup in November, which is the whole reason I started this digital nomad journey, I think like that relationship, like romantic portion, was so diminished that like friends and family just like almost not took up the space, but like really filled in a lot of voids and gaps. And like my friends and family have really, in the last year, have really stepped up and have lent so much support to me going through this like ridiculously intense life transition, and I feel so fulfilled in those areas. I'd say like overall things are going good right now, and it's something that like we'll chat more about on like another episode, like masterminding, where I want to go with my career. But I'd say probably that's the area where I feel like I'm challenged the most right now if I were to look at the wheel of life. But I think that's just because I feel like I'm just overwhelmed. I'm just overwhelmed with managing a business and a full-time job and traveling full-time. Like I think the travel full-time, when I wasn't traveling full-time and I was just living in Miami, like I managed both great. It was just it was awesome, and I was just able to keep up with everything and feel like I could give 100% to both. But now like with the travel full-time, like I'm not, instead of working a 9 to 5 and then having my evenings to work on my business, now I'm like spending my days touring whatever fucking country I'm in, and then spending my evenings working my 9 to 5, and then trying to fit in the business wherever the fuck I can. And it's overwhelming, and I feel I don't want to half-ass my work, but it's like right now the time management of it all is like very overwhelming, and that's where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. I love how this podcast is even structured in that way of life, because it's impossible, and it's amazing that you can recognize that like you can't give everything that complete space, right? There's a finite amount of energy and time that one has, right? It's like it's impossible for that wheel of life to be perfect in every category. You just got to be okay with the matrix that you're currently living in.
Yeah,
Of like
areas that need help.
what is slacking, what isn't. Yeah, no, absolutely. And also on your mental health, that's fantastic. What I'll say to that is, if not drinking alcohol and not doing substances doesn't improve your mental health, we should all do a lot more of it.
True. True. Yeah, I will say like there's a dispensary like downstairs from my Airbnb, and I am like, oh, I'm like low key. I was talking about it in therapy today. I was like, oh, but like I could just, the weekend's coming and I could just get a little something for the weekend. And then the other part of me is I really was looking forward to taking a break from marijuana for the fall winter, because it's something we've chatted about a lot on this podcast. But basically since April up until a week ago, I have been partaking in weed like almost every day, minus like a handful of days. And this is like this is the longest I've gone since April without weed. And I really enjoy it in a lot of ways, but I do wonder how much it impacts. I'm like, that's one thing I'm curious to see with taking a break from it is like, how much does it impact my mental health? How much does it impact my
Huh.
productivity? And to see, because before this year, I had like really strict boundaries around when I would use because I wasn't drinking alcohol. So I would only smoke Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then the rest of the week, I would just like have a regular ass week, like no substances. I was sober. And that balance really worked for me. This year, it hasn't been that. It's been like, oh, every day, it's fine. Like, whatever, this year is just for fun. So have fun. And
Yeah.
just trying to figure out what works. I don't know.
I'd love to stay up to date on that journey because that's an area actually I struggle. That's one of the areas I struggle with the most is marijuana. I don't drink that much, like with friends or on the weekend to go out, but alcohol's not really. I've never really considered it a problem or something I can very easily go without. But I'm very much in that. Yeah, it's just daily and like part of me tells myself, and it's the part that I allow myself to listen to, that it's not a problem. Um, but like the other part of me, the part that I shove away and don't listen to, is the right one where I'm like, yeah, maybe this is a little bit much and it's affecting other parts of my life. But I guess I haven't found I don't even want to call it willpower. I would almost call it courage to to not, to be like, no, listen to the part of yourself that you know is right and go unlock the other productivity. And it's going to suck for a while, right? Because breaking a habit is hard. Um, but it's the right thing.
Yeah.
So I'd love to keep up to date with you there.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's just a matter of taking a break for a little bit. And that's what I've experienced with alcohol last year is I had that same thing. I was like, I want to just give it up for a bit. I want to give it up for a year to see how I feel about it. And I was like, why does giving it up sound so difficult? So let's give it a year. And there's also alcoholism in my family too. So I wanted to make sure that it wasn't like something that I truly couldn't give up.
Hmm.
And I ended up loving it to have that alcohol-free year, and or at least I was California sober, so it was just like dabbling of whatever. But sometimes it's give yourself a time frame that's okay. I'm just gonna take a break for a week or like whatever. And in the peak of summer, when I was going every day, my therapist was like, Sasha, try to take a break for a day. That's the point I was at, that like with that point. So for me, it's okay. Like maybe just give myself until I'm back in the States to just not smoke any weed and see how I feel and to stay strong with that. It's a little bit more challenging when I don't have the accountability partner because I'm here by myself and it's, oh, well, the weekend's coming up and I would really love to smoke and hang out by the pool because that's like my favorite thing to do ever. So I don't know, but maybe it's just giving yourself like the week, 3 days to stop or like just a week to stop and see how you feel about it. And again, I think
Yeah.
with your wife too, the accountability is helpful there and like key too.
It's like what Josh was saying of the Mount Everest, one step at a time, right? Set an achievable goal and then reset it.
Yeah. And see if you like it. Like maybe it doesn't impact you or like maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Is it the weed that was impacting my mental health or is it the meditation or is it the solo time? I truly don't know. It's a lot of changes all at once. And also it's like being in a new country and like how can you not be in a good mental state when you're eating incredible Thai food? Like seriously. So maybe it could be a lot of different factors, but maybe just give it a shot for a week and see how you feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. What's the best thing? This is my that question I ask to everybody that goes on a trip, but like in Thailand or on your digital nomad, the single best bite of food you've had,
That's such a good
and
question.
it can only be one. It can't be a meal. It's like a single bite of food.
A single bite of food. It's really tough. And I honestly prefer this question because everyone keeps asking me what my favorite place is. And I'm like, for what? For food,
Right.
for culture, for community, for sightseeing, for adventure? Like what? I'd say my favorite bite of food. Honestly, I just did a food tour of Thailand or of Bangkok like 2 days ago. And the first thing that came to mind was like that first thing we had on that tour, which was like it wasn't a tom yum soup. It was like a tom yum like dumpling thing. I'm getting so hungry just even thinking about this. It was like a
Yeah,
tom yum dumpling thing, like soup curry situation, and oh my god, it was so good. It was like
that's
spicy
awesome.
and sour, and it was pork, and my mouth is watering thinking about it, and it was just amazing. That's the first thing that
That was a
came to
good
mind.
answer.
Yeah.
I'm tasting it myself.
It was so good. I think like the food tour was really top notch. It was really cool to go around with a local and experience that. And I love Thai food, so I've just been. I don't even know what I'm ordering at this point. I'm like going in and just being like, sure, like anything. It looks great.
Yeah.
The food
Yeah.
is definitely the best part of Asia. Everywhere.
Yeah.
So
I'm
good.
oh, I'm eating so good this fall winter. And no, without munchies too. Like that's great. With munchies it might be a little bit
Absolutely.
dangerous.
I've just also just got to imagine like you're naturally living a healthy lifestyle by traveling, by walking everywhere, by just constantly being on the move, right? And exploring like that leads to
It
health.
depends on the
That's why when you
place.
go to Boston or New York City, I don't know, generally for me, when I go to like cities, you see a lot less overweight people than you do in suburban places where you have to get in a car to drive everywhere, right? That was a big change to me here living in Boston was left my car in San Diego. It's like I walk everywhere. Now, like as long as it's like under 30 minutes, you're walking,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, love to walk. I just spent the summer in Paris and that was my favorite. I was working out too, but I was walking like 1 to 4 hours a day just exploring the city, like just really taking it all in. Same when I lived in New York and Miami, like just to walk around, and it's the best way to learn a city. Honestly, every city I go to, it's my favorite thing to do is just go and wander and walk around and see what you come up with. I think balancing health and travel has been interesting. It just depends on the place and also depends on who I'm with, because a lot of times when people I'm traveling with people or I'm joining people or visiting them, they assume because I'm traveling that I'm on vacation. And so they're
Mm,
like, if I'm traveling with friends, they're like, oh, well, it's vacation. I'm like, well, it's vacation for you, or you think I'm on vacation, but this is my life. And like finding gyms have been interesting and things like that. But for the most part, I'm like just basing it on how I'm fitting into my clothes, and the clothes fit. So I must be doing okay.
that's all that
Yeah,
matters.
for real.
Yeah.
As long as I can wear my gorgeous wardrobe, that's all that matters. Not that I have much of it here. I literally have a carry-on suitcase, but that's it. It's fine.
I was gonna say that used to be like a huge thing for you, right? You were like deep in the fashion world. Is
Still,
that still like a primary drive?
I love it. I worked in it for a while. I went to school like I studied business with a focus in fashion or focus in sustainable fashion, and then I worked in the industry for a little bit after, but then COVID happened and I moved over to the beauty skincare industry, which was never it's the same thing. Oh, I'm part of this company and I've been with this company for 4 years, but I don't give two shits about makeup. It's the same thing as you and the drones. I'm like, I'm here because whatever. So I love clothing, but it's also that thing where like when you see how the sausage is made, you want to be a vegetarian.
Hmm.
So like working in the industry has helped me develop like a really comprehensive wardrobe that I love. And I think it's actually, people would be surprised to know that I don't own a lot of clothing. Like compared to most people, like I don't own a ton. And when I get pieces, I like really invest in them and I don't buy a lot. That was one of the other things I did last year too. I didn't buy any new clothing. No alcohol, no new clothing. And the clothing was harder. So it's still a huge part of my life and I still love it and I still feel like it's my form of self-expression, but this year it's taken a backseat because it's actually allowed me to be creative within a small capsule wardrobe, because it's like, how do you travel with literally just a carry-on and like have a million different options and have a million different outfit changes, and like how can you pack for every single fucking situation with a limited amount of space. So
That's crazy.
it's wild. I miss my clothes. I really do. Actually, that's one of the things. I loved my Paris leg because I checked a bag and like I could bring stuff and bring stuff home. So I love that piece, but I do miss my clothes quite a lot. It's a bit tough. But other than that, it's great. You just, the trade-off. But
That's fun.
it was so amazing catching up with you. I feel like
Yeah.
I got so many nuggets of wisdom through all of this, and like it was incredible. Thank you so much for coming on, really.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It was fantastic just catching up with you and hearing about where you guys are in life. And I'm just so excited to hear that both of you are just always going to be downside things that aren't going great. But it sounds like both of you are doing amazingly. You're crushing it. Can't wait to continue just listening to this podcast as it keeps growing. And yeah, congratulations to both of you.
Thanks so much.
So fun.
All right, guys, we'll catch you guys next week on the Mastermind Moments podcast. Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow along on social media.
If you would like us to help you mastermind something in your life, please send us a message.
We'll see you next week on the Mastermind Moments podcast.